not, then you have to.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Sir, one more case you are might be well acquainted with this. So the question is that, so to assure the patients, many people claim that before 2 years the child is unable to switch. So we should not assure them anything, especially in hypothetical children. So how long we should observe them to give an assurance? Is there any prognosticate purpose?
So any kid, like see, as I said, the golden neuroplasticity will be there in first 2 years of life. So even it is mitochondrial, even it is a myopathy, even it is a divisional muscular EMD or SMA. Prognostication is the different thing, but we should be trying till the golden period like 2 years, and the extended golden period or extended period you can say, where there can be a response up to 5 years. So at least in a private practice, it is not a written rule. I encourage the parents, unless and until it is neurometabolic or clear-cut diagnosed case, when it is a migrational defect, till 5 years I encourage them. Within 6 months only you will be able to see the changes in the child. And themselves, the parents, because the outside any consultant they go to, any physician, they always say it is best, most of the consultants, not all nowadays, but most of the consultants say don't do anything now, look for the second child, that is more cheaper than having the treatment for this baby. But being a professional working in this field, always we should be positive towards our own patient. We should be counseling them at least for 2 years. Okay, let us see if you are getting 2 to 5% improvement in every month, be happy. Counsel them till, because see, when we go to the cerebral palsy prognosis, we go into the details of how many percentage that they got the prognosis. But being a professional, always encouraging the mother, because they will be facing a lot of pressure from the husband, in-laws, from the other pediatricians, the treating doctors, and even the social pressure that if child is not walking, everyone will blame the female. Okay, so you need to counsel them in both aspects, not the realistic thing like as I said, that child who is having preterm, definitely if you start early intervention, 101% that child is going to walk. Child with Leiden-Kipeli type 1, definitely if you start stimulation, there is a chances, but don't tell them 100%. You need to be sometimes skeptical that let us see, we'll see the improvement for 6 months and then we'll see. That's where during that 6 months, if they see the positive changes, they will you will gain their confidence and they will continue for next 2 to 3 years.
Thank you, sir. So we all are known about the how to approach a CP. Thank you, sir, highlighting these points.
One more, the child which you have shown before, that child is having macrocephaly, right, large head. So itself it shows that it is not the cerebral palsy, it may be the neurometabolic disorders like Canavan's disease, some storage disorders or neurodegenerative disorders, or some biotin deficiency or vitamin D deficiency. So anyone want to interact from the faculty patients? Anybody? Now we are moving towards the clinical examination, right?
Now we'll move to clinical examination part. Sir, as you already shared with us, and it's very true also, we start observing the patient right from the time he enters and how the baby is carried to the examination table. And you also mentioned that the dysmorphism or the look of the baby is also important. So what exactly, or which part of the, which clinical examination are relevant and which should be performed in a busy OPD where we don't have much of a time, in 5-10 minutes we have to examine the child, which points needs to be examined?
The most important part is the neurocutaneous marker, and then the general examination I'll give more stress, because in a neurology, to narrow down to from the differential 10 diagnosis to 1 diagnosis, you need the first general examination. Then second one is the neurocutaneous marker. It's very, very important thing. And then social cognition interact, especially in autism and child with neurometabolic etiology. So who is going to present the clinical examination for this child? So, in short, in one sentence, madam, in one sentence you tell me the history. Don't go into the details. 30 seconds history, and then you start the examination, because my clinical examination should be relevant with the clinical history. Don't tell the diagnosis only. What is your positive point in the history within one line, and then you start with your general examination.
Delivery normal करायची.
नाही, मला हिस्ट्री पाहिजे. आता विचारत बसेल तर विल लूज मेजर टाइम इनटू दॅट. तुला माहिती आहे? यू नो दॅट? Because see, now here itself you show we have allotted history taking to one student and clinical examination. See, I am not blaming you. Yeah. See, I want to focus it that we get channelized or partition, because even we allow you for the clinical examination. It's your duty before going for clinical examination. That's how you make your habit in a consultation. You will take the history, make your diagnosis at the end of clinical history, and then you will go for the clinical examination. So don't get panicked. I am asking in general.
So you know about the history of this patient. You bring that in one sentence. The case of
In this patient, the delivery is
I want one sentence. What is your complaint? Developmental delay.
developmental delay, unable to walk, unable to hold the knee.
Okay, any consanguinity is there or not?
No issue of consanguinity.
Now you can go for the clinical examination. You can hold the mic. You can demonstrate how to examine it.
Good morning everyone. The great part of art of medicine, observation. And every pediatrician should know it, because the child cannot tell his own complaint. As the doctor, it is our duty to diagnose the patient as early as possible, because the role of early diagnosis and early intervention is important. The CP is the neuromotor disorder, including the abnormality in movement, posture and tone. So, the clinical assessment is according to the type of the patient. In clinical diagnosis, we are going to see posture, tone of the muscles, reflexes, involuntary movement and gait of the patient. This is the patient of spastic CP.
So you are making your diagnosis before your examination. No. You are not supposed to do that. So start your good habits from beginning. Okay, and you never mention about the general examination. What you were mentioning about the systemic examination. Before that, as I said, general examination, head size, then posture, then walking posture or the lying down posture is very, very important. So start from there, and then you mention everything from general examination, then systemic, what you are going to do, because your bullet point should be there, how you are going to go the roadmap. So your that first point is a general examination. And never says, especially in a pediatric, it is a patient. It is a kid, baby, or like use the terminology which is flexible. Even examiner will like that someone saying that, or use his name.
For general examination, start from head to toe, so that nothing is missed. For the CNS examination, the containers of CNS, that is skull and spinal cord, are thoroughly examined. The shape of the skull, symmetry, size is detailed observed. For CNS examination, there are some points, that is higher functional examination, motor system examination, involuntary movements examination. Then let's go one by one. First, hair function examination. Watch for the consciousness of the patient. The patient is conscious. Then watch for the orientation. The patient is not oriented about time, place and person because he can't talk and he is not does not obey the command. Then for motor system examination, watch for posture of the patient. Posture means the position at the first time we look on the patient. Look the posture of the patient. There is flexion of the upper lip as well as flexion of the lower lips. There are two postures, that is hypertonia and hypotonia. In hypertonia, two rigidities are seen, that is decerebrate rigidity and decorticate rigidity. In decerebrate rigidity, if the lesion is below the midbrain, then there is decerebrate rigidity, that is extension of the upper and lower lip is observed. And if decorticate rigidity, the lesion is above the midbrain, that is cerebellum, internal capsule and thalamus. Then there is the flexion of the hands at the chest and flexion of the limbs is seen. In this child, we are seeing the flexure posture. Then the tone of muscle. Tone of muscle is assessed by the state of contraction of the muscles. There are two methods to assess the tone of muscle. First, move the limbs slowly. Feel for the resistance. This is the spastic child. I am feeling for the resistance. And then first movement of the limb is explicit. Do the fast movement and we observe the catch of the muscles. See the catch. I am feeling resistance in this child. This is the sign of spasticity. In lower limb, first do the slow movement. This is spasticity. And then do the fast movement. I am observing the catch of the muscle at that point. So this is the sign of spasticity. It is the Tardieu manual to assess the spasticity. Then reflexes. The reflexes are two types, superficial and deep. For superficial reflexes, the pin is scratched to the screen and observe. For the abdominal reflex, the skin is scratched from the lateral to the umbilicus. See for contraction of the muscles. See, the child is contracting the muscle. The second is cremasteric reflex. For cremasteric reflex, the medial skin of the thigh is scratched and watch for the upward pulling of the testes. He is not responding to this stimulus. For plantar reflex, hold the foot and scratch the skin from lateral to medial side of the toe. He is so spastic, so all the reflexes are not elicited in this child. I will show the reflexes in other child.
So your examination is what?
So I will take the examination in other child because all the information are not possible in my child.
Okay. Sir, anyone from faculty want to correct her or add on to her? So your general examination was? So So do you feel this is the correct method of like assessing tone and method? See, in pediatric you should not go like take a ball, just half. Okay, so how to do that? Because if you give such negative thrust to the child, no, he won't cooperate. He will start crying because along with spasticity, sometimes if you ask the mother after sleeping whether the child is becoming completely floppy or having the same spasticity. So whether this is a contracture or not. So there are different methods which we should use with the play. Always carry in a pediatric PG should carry one toy kit with them so that child will cooperate and the toys or balls can be used to assess the tone. It's simple and then you explain in your scientific way but get the details by play method so that it's very easy because CNS examination looks very difficult but if you utilize in a proper way by your own skills it looks more better. So as being an early intervention they taught how to examine the tone. I think I asked Dr. Aparna to just demonstrate that one. It's a benefit for the PGs. And then we'll see the second child for the other examination. So anything from the faculties they want to ask question, any student want to interact? If they feel she is wrong, correct her, don't say it is wrong, but then tell your view how to take it. There may be a different innovative methods they may be using.
Started from the head. Stage okay, he's a 5-year-old. So when it is below 2 years, you have to see first his frontal lobe. Because in neurological status, we have to first check this. If it is very soft or it is already become tight or it is already closed, and you have to check this on connections of your sutures, because when it is overriding means it's indicating that the child is having is what we can say, it's a history of is a bad history of obstetric history, because if suppose the head is stuck, it's prolonged labor, then this is the main indication the child is having bad history. So while observing only you will come to know that just front and this bossing of front and or overriding of the bones. This is the first indication of bad history of obstetrics. It could be during like last stage of your delivery or head stuck ho gaya bolte hain na, when you are doing forceps delivery or forceps delivery or vacuum delivery. This is the main indication. After that, the softness of your front end. If it is very soft, or it's, and one more indication of that, if it is already closed or very small, only pinpoint, if frontal is there, then one more indication of again that something has happened during the labor, and that is one more also hypoxic condition. And after that you are checking the circumference. Anyhow, it's overriding means it's a microcephaly. It is not normal. After that you will see this your position of eyes, position of ear, position of lips, and position the shape of your lower chin. This is important because when you are checking your neurological condition, the appearance of your face, is there any dysmorphic feature? Because what is the normal? Abnormality will be the very narrow or depressed nasal bone, or if you see this is the actual, this is normal actually. When it is abnormal, the lower will be below your this margin. That is abnormality, lower set. And then you have to see this philtrum size. If it is very small or if it is very large. The gap should be normal. It should not be more or should not be very small. Then shape of your lips. Normally it should be like in what normally we know. But if it is very small, or if it is very like joining of this angle is very wide, that is also abnormal. And this chin, whether it is pointed or sometimes it is dimple chin is also not normal actually. That also you have to see. Again after that, see now you are observing the child is doing continuously opening his mouth. This is also one sign of your spasticity. Because when his child is not able to close his mouth, means some abnormality in his muscle bone. So whenever spasticity is there, when the child is continuously is in this, there is extensor thrust. For that reason, the child is not keeping his mouth closed. When you just hold your child and make him little bit relaxed, then you just see. And when you are holding this, now you can see little bit is, yeah, he is easily, we can move, close his mouth when he is passing. So while doing observation only, you will come to know the spasticity sign, the opening of mouth, then position of his hand, face, then position of his midline orientation. If it is spastic or hypotonic also, there will be no midline orientation. And sure, and in hypotone and hypertonicity, the child will keep his hands like this only. So one more confusion, whether it is hypotonic or hypertonicity. So that time you can see the lower limbs. In hypotonicity, the lower limbs will be widening, and hypertonicity, now the child is having this position, or gait, scissoring gait will be there, or just because this is already, it's a very severe spasticity, so you cannot immediately, we will come to know that this is a serious spasticity. And what you are checking with this, no need to check abdomen, you can just do like this also. He will show that reflex. Or you can just do on the lateral plantar. Immediately they will do. And one more thing, you did not check that clonus. In this child, actually this is difficult because already this is very tightness. So you cannot extend his leg. So when, if it is possible to extend, you just pull the, this. So you cannot see because it's already very spasticity is there and all, yeah. So this we cannot do. But if it is low, little bit relaxing stage, you can just pull the this patella lower down. You will see that clonus. So this is why it is very hypertonicity. Just for 4 plus will be there spastic. Then you will see that also.
See, shortly in this child, if you see, to summarize it, previous child, when you put on the examination where child was crying, so when you are telling about the higher mental function, that this child is not emotionally attached with the mother, right? He is conscious but not emotionally. So use the word which will show that you have interest in the subject. So this child will allow you to examine in a forceful way. That means he is not oriented, not emotionally attached. Time, place, person, it is for For you, this child is not crying for mother. So he is not emotionally attached, not emotionally bound. So social development is definitely affected. Then there is a forehead short. Then there is a like microcephaly. So all these things has to come spontaneously.
So in MRI findings, you should see that some atropic changes in his
Frontal lobe. That's
so
how
that
we
is
should
you should correlate what you are seeing clinically, that should be present in MRI. You should correlate in that way.
Because your clinical diagnosis was it is a hypoxia, but I could feel this is could be hypoxia, could be dysmorphism or some syndromic child. So your label should be open. It is a developmental delay with dysmorphism. It's more of a spastic type and social development is affected. So what are the 4 angles of your development has to be highlighted into the clinical data. Right? So previous child was very much crying. The way you put it on the bed, he started crying. That means his social emotional development is good. So he is mainly affected with the gross motor. So this child is affected with gross motor, your social communication, speech. Right?
Thank you, sir. In this patient, we are seeing the posture of the limb, gait, and scissoring. C for the flexion of the lower limb. The lower limb is flexed at the knee joint and upper limb is flexed at the flexor joint, elbow joint. This shows the spasticity in this child. Watch for the reflexes in this child. For knee jerk, support the leg with the hand and tap to the patellar tendon. Watch for the extension of the limb.
So is it a patellar tendon? Where is the So it should elicit a reflex. So
There is extension of the limb.
yes. So see, most of the times you should be very correct in your position so that you will get a reflex. Even in an exam, you will be under a lot of stress. You should be able to do. If you make being a pediatric PG such mistake, they would forgive you. At least at one time. So yeah, it's very easy. Once you see there is a tendon, so you hit it in a correct position. Either you use this hammer or a pediatric hammer, but it has to be correct. If you are not getting this, you are not hitting the proper place.
C for the extension of the limb. There is the brisk response seen in this child. Then, for the ankle jerk, place the leg like this and
In this child, see, clinical examination, this is like a book, but if you go practically, no, if you keep your hand like this, simple, no need to raise this also, and just tap it, you get your reflex. Now, no need to like you have to take and do this. Just simply, you can put a leg like this, no? Leg like this, and just see. It's so contracted that you'll be able to see. Or put your finger over here. So if you do like this now, already this contracture, you won't be able to demonstrate it. So in this child, at least this is the method where you can give the support to the knee from the back side. So this is a knee reflex. You'll be able to say it. And similar way, ankle has to be assessed because sometimes it is too spastic, you may not be able to get it. I am trying to do this. This leg is getting because of the spasticity. So once you so this is an ankle. So this is a method which you should use it. This is where child is hypotonic, you may be able to do it. So practically you have to, it varies with case to case.
thank you, sir. For bicep jerk, place the thumb on bicep tendon and tap the thumb. Watch for the flexion. Watch for the flexion of the hand. For supinator jerk, tap the brachioradialis tendon. Watch for the extension of the hand. See, you can see the extension. See, this is the toe walking posturing of the child. You can see the toe walking in this child because of the spasticity of the Achilles tendon.
or a contracture of this, even you for the child there may be a cesarean portion. So you have to mention first that, because to walking if you are a child is having diabetic safety, how you will walk. No, that is with support. See, in support of your diagnosis, if you know the final diagnosis, that's even you know the diagnosis in the exam, you have to pretend
Hello,
that you doesn't
hello.
know
Sorry to interrupt you, sir. Sir, please increase your voice volumes.
Okay, see, any child or any PGs who is taking the class, they should pretend even they know the diagnosis, it is diplegia. You should not because simple sign in this child, if you hold the child horizontally, there is a cesarean portion. Okay, then toe walking. So contracture is at both hamstrings also and tendon Achilles also. So this is a diplegia, diplegic cerebral palsy. So walking with support is third one, but before that, your word should be very important, cesarean portion. Itself, keep the examiner's mind busy, okay, I am dealing with diplegic cerebral palsy, Oh. And tendon reflexes, again, I think there should be a separate examination on that, because what you are doing, you should not be able to do it 3-4 times, otherwise you won't get the reflex. And you have not tell us what is the grading of this reflex. What is grade 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or you have not, because that has to be given in the clinical examination. So what are the grades of the reflexes?
There are 4 grades. 0 grade is no response. 1 grade is sluggish. 2 is normal. 3 is brisk. And 4 is exaggerated influence.
So in this child, what is your
3 grades, that is brisk reflexes with no exaggerated reflexes, but there is no clonus. Fourth grade is exaggerated reflexes with clonus, but in this child, clonus is not.
So everyone is agree this is a grade 3. See, to develop the clonus, that has to be some, because this is a fixed contractures almost all in the, so this is a grade 4, because there is no position that child will develop the clonus, that much spasticity is there. That's how practically when you examine, there is so much contracture, it won't allow your tendon to develop the clonus. So this is grade 4, like a rigidity or spasticity which has developed, which is not allowing your tendons to give the clonus. Clonus will be stage 3 where there are not fixed contractures. So in such cases, you should be able to tell the prognosis where your child needs a Botox injection along with your therapy, where your child requires the orthopedic procedure or corrective surgeries. So for counseling, it is very important. So practically you are correct, theoretically, but practically it is grade 4. Theoretically you are absolutely right.
Thank you, sir.
Hello. Now friends, delegates, now you have gone through the 2 different type of the cases, spastic ataxia. Now you are going to observe one more type of the dysphonia, ataxia. Is it Avanti? Yeah, that is Mr. type of.
In this child, we are seeing the extrapyramidal movements in this child. The extrapyramidal system contains cerebellum and basal ganglia. cerebellar assessment. The child should be above 7 to 8 years and the grade should be above 3. So, this is the child of 11 years old. First assessment test is finger nose test. Ask the child to follow the finger and touch his nose. असं नाकाला हात लावायचा माझ्या पुढे. He is obeying the commands. Watch for tremors and dysmetria. You can see the tremors and dysmetria. Dysmetria means inability to recognize the distance. The second is dysdiadochokinesia. Means ask the patient to alternately supinate and pronate the hands. He is not doing simultaneously and the tremors are seen in the hands. See for the tremors. Also, the titubation is seen in this child, that is nodding of the head. So, these are the ataxic signs of CP. Also, the tender cocking. The child is unable to walk, so we can't do tender walking and rhombus test in this child. The three signs, that is dysdiadochokinesia, finger nose test and titubation, shows that the child is having cerebellar ataxia. Thank you.
In this child, by walking gait only, if you see there is a titubation, even child is sitting, there is a titubation of the head, beating nystagmus is there, and then tremor. So what you are describing is the extracerebral, it's okay. But practically while entering the child into OPD itself, give you the diagnosis that this child is having the cerebral involvement. And the extrapyramidal, more of dystonia, we have not kept a child over here, a dystonic cerebral palsy, where being a pediatric neuro, we have so much challenge that we cannot give anything to them, those who with having this severe dystonia. So that case I think we are missing dystonic cerebral palsy. This is a ataxic cerebral palsy, or maybe the like static, or maybe it is a developing cerebral palsy. So good case. So by look only you can say there is a cerebellar involvement. Dystonic child you can say there is a basal ganglia involvement.
Thank you, sir. Now we will be moving on to Panchakarma procedures. We will demonstrate you 5 karmas we use in the management of cerebral palsy children.